While there's a ton of different research teams represented here at the conference, the curious might want to take a casual night of ghostly entertainment and turn it into a full ghost tour. It's definitely the way to go, if you ask me. There's a number of them here in Chicago, including Ursula Bialski's Chicago Hauntings Tour. But how about a shout out to the suburbs? Lifelong Naperville resident Diane Ladley decided to try an experiment after being diagnosed with a rare muscular condition called fibromyalgia that left her without a job.
Halloween time came around, and I thought, man, how could I make some extra money? Because by this time I was broke. I thought, well, geez, why don't I just give Don Worley a call over here? He runs the trolley company, and rent out his trolleys and just do a few ghost tours. Wow. The response was outstanding, and I realized that it combined all of my loves: storytelling, talking with people. It also combines, of course, ghost stories and Naperville history. I kind of make a joke that Naperville is the most phantom-friendly town in the Midwest. We have really no bad, dark, evil ghosts here anymore.
Chicago's one thing, but how many ghosts can there possibly be in a quiet little town like Naperville? Well, you'd be surprised. Diane showed us a location not on her tour, Naperville Cemetery.
A lot of wonderful, fascinating stories. My favorite, Otto Klein. He used to be a world-renowned rodeo champion, a fancy trick rider. He traveled all around the world. He was a part of Buffalo Bill's Wild Wild West show. He was friends with Annie Oakley, the whole 9 yards. Well, he was working with Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus and doing a very difficult trick over at Madison Square Garden. He was riding on a horse, full out, leaping from one horse's back to the other, back and forth, the entire stretch of Madison Square Garden, when suddenly he slipped and he fell, and a horse's hoof came right down on his face, killed him instantly. What's interesting is that about 15 years ago, a woman was here. She was a volunteer cleaning up the place, and she bent down to pick up some garbage that was by Otto's tomb, and she put her hand on the stone. Now, she had no idea who Otto was. She was fascinated by the interesting stone here, the cowboy hat, the spurs, the lariat on the side. But when she touched her hand to the stone, all of a sudden she had a vision come into her brain, first time in her life. It was quite shocking. And she saw a horse's hoof coming straight toward her face. She could smell sawdust, she could hear crowds screaming, and she most often could hear a man calling out mentally, "Why me? Why now?" She jerked her hand back away and had no idea. My God, what just happened to me? So she did some research to find out who this fellow was. Now, this was in the days before Google. So it took her quite some time, and she discovered Otto's story. That's just one of the many stories of the Otto Klein's ghost tales. We've also had some shadows. We actually got one on tape during the stories. You can see it. There's a dark shadow that moves way into the back of the cemetery there. And it actually crosses in front of several of the lights. That's the school over there, way back there. And suddenly you see it almost half the distance. And then suddenly you see it almost directly at that tree. It just seemed to jump and blur and move so quickly, and then it just faded away. I remember to this day noticing some kind of movement behind me, and I turned around and I did see a shadowy figure of a man just walking slowly by. I didn't pay any attention to it, thinking it was one of the guests on the tour, but it wasn't. That's one of the very common figures here in this place, a shadow of a man walking slowly among the tombstones.
Let's hear one more cemetery tale before we get down to business.
Tales of the Dancing Lights. Ever since I was a little girl, people have reported seeing lights moving around in the cemetery late at night. Colored lights, red, blue, green, moving all around, yellow. And one night, sure enough, we were here with a tour, and we were standing inside on the street there, and suddenly somebody said, "Wait a minute, what's that over there?" And we all look, and we see this little orb of red light zipping around. And I thought, well, maybe is it a laser pointer or something? But it was much bigger than a laser pointer. It was about the size of a $50. And it kept spinning around. It would disappear, and then it would turn around like that and meander around the tombstones. You're like, oh. And the tale goes that those red lights are the spirits of the children who have passed away. There is a whole section over on the far side, which is the children's area. And they say that these children, they rise up from their graves and they play among the tombstones, hide and seek. And believe it or not, there is actually a nanny ghost who watches out for them. She's been seen. She's a full-bodied apparition. Was seen first thing early on a July, was it a July? Yes, it was a July morning. And she was walking down the hill, and a man was walking up. He wanted to water the flowers at his grandparents' grave. And he thought it was so unusual because she was dressed like Mary Poppins. With the hat and the coat, and even with the handbag, exactly like Mary Poppins. And he thought that was unusual because it was already a warm day, and here she's all bundled up in this long outfit. And he passed right by her, and he said, "Good morning." She said, "Good morning." And she walked by, and he turned to look, and she was gone. Vanished. So yes, the children are well taken care of here at the cemetery.
Her introduction with the paranormal, entirely unexpected.
I heard horses' hoofbeats going outside my window late one night, and I looked out the window and I followed the sound of the horses' hoofbeats, and nobody was there. No horse, no rider. Interestingly enough, 1 week later, I picked up a book called Chicagoland Ghosts, and read a story in there of Naperville that I had never heard of before, about the weeping bride who rides her horse through the old streets of town.
Diane's tours are unlike most others you'd find. For one, it's an introduction to ghost hunting.
Everybody carries EMF meters, and so they get to be ghost hunters as they go on the tour. So it really brings a lot of interactive fun, and boy, as soon as those meters go off, oh, wait, wow! They get so thrilled by that. Interestingly enough, though, we have captured a few very strange readings that I can't figure out. And in 2 spots, 3 spots actually in particular. And they're all haunted spots. So at least the legend goes that's out there.
During our visit, all the EMF detectors went off at the site of the original Naperville cemetery, which was later moved to its current location. This was not believed to be a haunted site, but now, who knows? The tour lasts about an hour and a half, and we visited quite a few Naperville haunts.
We go to such places as Pfeiffer Hall at North Central College, which is supposedly haunted by no less than 8 different ghosts, some of whom are very, very active. In fact, just a few weeks ago, I met a college student, and he asked me, is there a ghost over at Pfeiffer Hall that kind of looks like Colonel Sanders, the Kentucky Fried Chicken guy, wearing white, and I said, as a matter of fact, yes. Why do you ask? Oh my God! I saw him! He was up in the balcony! And he just disappeared. It was amazing. I said, yeah, it's the ghost of the music professor. I had a couple friends who said, Diane, we'd love to take your tour, but is it okay if we bring our dog? We love our dog.
Her remedy? Doggy-friendly ghost walks. If you think about it, it's really a natural to have a canine friend nearby, considering animals are more sensitive to psychic phenomena.
And some of the dogs have perked their ears up outside of Pfeiffer Hall when I'm telling the story of Charlie Yellowboots. And there are a couple spaniels, and all of a sudden they perked up, looking into nothing, into thin air, and all of a sudden the EMF meter started going off. Now you try to tell a story during that, huh? Story ground to a halt, we're staring. Suddenly the EMF meters just faded out, and the dogs relaxed.
We're not going to tell you about the red geranium or the hauntings at the cemetery's front office. You'll just have to see for yourself or visit Diane here at the conference. To learn more about her Naperville ghost tours or to make a reservation, check out her website, historicnapervilleghosttours.com. Now don't forget, there's a dash between each word. Her tours are by reservation only, and her Ghost Tales doggy-friendly tours usually sell out quick. Tickets for all tours are $20, and P.S. there's a $5 off coupon on her website.